Hi and welcome everyone to another episode of Gaming with Jason. I will tell you how to use each one of them, and if you decide that this is one you want to play, at least now you know how to use it. Okay, so my first one and one of my favorites, and I kind of stumbled across this, is Saudi. Now I looked at B2's video where he was talking about how India was the best nation, and I strongly disagree with him, and I will show you the what I also consider, and I'm going to do a separate video of this, the 5 worst countries to be, in my opinion, to start the game with. B2 made a comment about Iran, Egypt, Ethiopia, and Iraq. And I'm gonna go ahead and settle this, because here's the thing. Iraq, I never really see do anything, and if he does, he joins a coalition. For some reason, it's I've never seen a lot of experienced players take Iraq. Although Iraq is a good country to be, it's a mid-range country. But as you see, this guy is new. He still doesn't know how to play the game. So generally, Iraq is a country I've rarely ever worried about. Iran and Ethiopia are the only 2 countries I have to worry about, and that is because the only way these 2 countries can get to me, actually the only way that Ethiopia can get to me, is through Jizan. And usually what you should do if you are Saudi is just work out an agreement and say, hey, look, I will stay out of Africa and I will protect this little junction here, and you stay out of the Middle East, and I'm going to go towards Iran. Okay, and this is how you neutralize Ethiopia. And Ethiopia could be your best friend, but he also could be your worst enemy. And Ethiopia, if you can neutralize him, you will have a successful game with Saudi Arabia. Okay, and this is how you neutralize him, is you guys do this junction. You give him Africa, you take Middle East. You guys don't step on each other, and you have mutual protection, because he needs his port protected and you need your port protected, because both of you only have 2 port cities. So if you put a couple of destroyers, or if you put some stuff there and say, hey, look, I've got this here, if you're and you coordinate, that way you both can make sure that nobody gets through this little canal, and now you have complete control. And then if you really want to start on like a mini navy, you would want to put another one up right around like here at the mouth of the Suez Canal, because then now that protects everything that you got going on. And if Egypt tries to jump across and go through Israel and come in here, because that's the only way that Israel can get to you, or excuse me, that's the only way that Egypt can get to you, and the only way that Sudan can get to you is through a port city if they want to attack you, unless they go through Israel. And Israel is the biggest pain to conquer in the Middle East, and when you want to talk about cities that go rogue and it takes forever for them to really settle down, I mean, honestly, this is the worst part of the world to be in, and it's always in this unrest that you see here, and it takes forever to calm it down. So usually what I like to do is I like to go after Oman and Yemen and Jordan, and which is right here, and then you also have Kuwait City. And you can tell Israel, because Israel's usually a newer person. Very few people actually take Israel, but anyways, here Israel, he's not that experienced, and he's with a small nation, so if he doesn't really know what he's doing, he's not going to do well. Now, as you see, he's going after Syria, which is natural, because he's not going to want to go after a country that's like 10 times his size. He's going to want to go after a country like this, so now that he can stand up to a country like Saudi Arabia. But if you're Saudi Arabia, you take Iraq first, and then you come in and you either take Syria, who takes over Israel, or Israel, who takes over Syria. You end up taking those guys over, and now you're on the border with Turkey and Iran. Now, either Turkey needs to be your ally member, or you need to create another thing and say, hey, look, I tell you what, I will leave you Russia and Europe, because honestly, all of your good resources are in here, and I will talk about Turkey here in a second. But anyways, you tell him, hey, look, you can have Europe. I want to go towards Iran, and let's just do a natural defense pact, or a no attack thing, so that I can go in my direction. Towards later in the game, if you have to really like turn tide on them, I would turn on Turkey before I would turn on Ethiopia, because Ethiopia always has nukes, and Ethiopia has always got strong units. But then you're right. So you're right. You take these NPCs, and then after you're done taking the NPCs, you've already got your next round of troops, and you're going through. And by now, you should have gunships. And if you're using your gunships, you just send them in here, and that starts softening up the target so that your minimal units can take over Iraq. And so right then and there, within a couple of days, you're on Iran's doorstep. And then that means you need to start opening up dialogue with Iran. But if you want to be, if your next step is going to be to take Iran, and then by day 14, you should be over here on India's doorstep. And India will try and come in through Muscat or Dammam. It's very rare that they ever try and come through here. So you probably, if you have ships here and here, and you want to put up another corvette, I would put up one right here, just to protect this city. And then you pretty much got a good defense, because your neighbors are usually pretty good.